Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Special 4 Cup. Race 1 is going to be from the DGT Seaside and we're in for an interesting championship. The format this season is that the drivers were given the choice of one of 4 cars, and there are only 4 of each of those 4 cars, and the order of selection was done in reverse championship order from the Zanassin Trophy. So the drivers at the bottom of that championship were able to pick first, meaning 4 Subarus got chosen very quickly, and then so did the Alphas, the VWs and eventually the Toyotas. The aim being that the stronger drivers end up in the weaker cars. Could make things very interesting. 4 different cars, 4 different drivetrains, 4 very different styles. The tracks we're going to use this championship are all proper race tracks, and the time of the lobby setting is going to be the earliest fine weather time, which could make things a little bit slippery at a few of the locations. Race 1, as I mentioned, is from the DGT Seaside, a track that we all know. It's basically the DGT League's test track. Now, there is a 5-minute qualifying session at each round, and taking pole position for round 1 is DGT League SGP reigning champion. Steve F1 joins him on the front row. On row 2 we've got Tyler alongside Demon R, that's P3 and P4. On row 3 we've got Conrad in P5 and then Mitch P6. On row 4 we've got Twilight P7 and then the first of the Subarus in P8. On row 5 we've got Jason lining up alongside Dave the Harp in 10th place, and then on row 6 we've got the next Subaru of Rich Blues lining up alongside Hay. Unfortunately, a few drivers unable to race today, the likes of SRI with an illness unfortunately, and a couple of people having to work at the last moment. Hopefully though we will see more Subarus at the next race, because it will make things very interesting. Right, time to join the commentary team and all of the frantic action. And joining me on commentary today is Connor. How are you, Connor?
I'm good. It's a new season. Let's get rocking and rolling.
I don't know about rolling, but I can definitely do rocking. And the drivers are ready then for the race 1 of the championship at Dragon Trail Seaside, with SGP sitting on pole position, Steve F1 alongside him as the lights go out and away they go, and it's a typically slow start for the VWs. Gary getting squished in the middle.
Yeah, look at all of them brands of cars coming through. You can tell the VWs do not like the starters. Look at Gary flying through there.
Yeah, from 8th place up to 2nd at the moment. Can he make it into first, into turn 1? I think he might be able to up the inside of Mitch. And Mitch has had a decent start, to be fair, but Gary's absolutely flying as they're still side by side through the chicane as they head towards the little kink into the hairpin.
Yeah, Gary's sporting the with sugar. It's definitely not sweet as he goes through there.
What I tell you,
Demon R!
You Demon R! Oh, he's nailed Tyler! I think he's lost it on the curb and then lost it on the grass, and he's absolutely destroyed Tyler's race.
The rear-wheel drive Toyota losing it and ever.
Oh, I don't know why that'd be, and I tell you what though, Gary showing exactly what the Subaru is all about at the moment. Mitch getting a little bit of understeer. The 2 Steves in the VW. We've only just started this race, Connor, but the different concepts of the cars is very interesting, as Mitch is coming under a lot of pressure here from the VWs.
Yeah, I think we'll learn as the course of the season goes. We'll lock some different tracks and where each car will be stronger, as we've got the VWs ganging up on the Alpha there.
Yes, a lovely move from Steve F1. Mitch is going to be hung out to dry now, but will the VWs be able to get the power down? Steve F1 can, but I don't think SGP could. No, he can't. He's had to drop in behind Mitch as Gary leads the field through the bus stop chicane. There's always a risk.
From Mitch there.
Oh,
he's caught the wall.
Yeah, there was sparks and then there was a dent. I think Gary may have clipped the wall on the exit as well. He's a little bit slow. He's now being swamped by the VWs. The Subaru is easily the strongest car of all on the grid, but I do know that Gary has just moved house, so he's not been able to have any practice time really. So to be fair, he may struggle a little bit in this race. I thought SGP was going for the pits then.
Yeah, the VWs, in the hands of the 2 Steves, they're going to be a quick car this season.
Yeah, they definitely are. As Steve F1 trying to make a move on SGP. I think SGP must have taken the lead then down the main straight. Gary's still sitting there in 3rd place, and looks like Conrad in at 4th at the moment.
We do have a Toyota at least in the top 5.
Yeah, the other two. Oh, one's spinning there, and the other one's right at the back. I mean, it is a feature. I mean, there's a few features of the cars, like you mentioned. The VW, it understeers. The Subaru is rapid everywhere, burns fuel though. The Alpha, I'm going up the inside of
Making
Jason.
a move there.
Yeah,
the other one's coming through.
That was Dave the Harp and Mitch right behind him.
It's an 12 wheel Alpha there, alongside the two VWs.
But the interesting thing with the Alpha is it handles corners beautifully, but lacks a bit of straight line speed. The Toyota is quick, but it likes to go sideways.
Yeah, what is it next? It's Toyota for the Toyota in the 4th place at the minute, but next race we have, I think it's Suzuka, isn't it, next round? Yes. I think the Alphas will be good through the first sector.
Yeah, the Alphas should be extremely good around Suzuka. May struggle a little bit on the back straight, but it's not that long. I mean, this circuit is very much high speed around most of it, as Steve F1 leads SGP, who leads Gary, who leads Connor. Gary doing ever so well at the moment. No, he's headed to the barrier. Oh, yeah, commentator's curse, firing away.
That was definitely your fault. With Sugar at the company sending a letter to the commentary team there.
Well, I'm pretty sure it says on the side of the Whitworth Sugar. I think it also says sweet but deadly, especially if you're what's the word? I can't even think of it.
But Gary's definitely not silent, but he is deadly.
That's true. I was thinking of diabetic, that's it.
Damon R and Jason in the pits there.
Yeah, that's a very early pit stop. You know what? There's a few more that are in the pits as well. I think Twilight has headed into the pits as well. Yes, he has, because he's coming out ahead of Demon R. Interesting that they pit this early. That would suggest to me that they can't get halfway through this race without putting in a bit of fuel. The VWs may be able to get halfway. If they can, they could one-stop this race. I think for everybody else, though, it may end up being a two-stop.
Yeah, I've not really looked into fuel in these cars and how it works, but it's going to be interesting to get to know across the season of the different strategies everyone's going to have.
Yeah, it definitely will. I mean, I know around this track, it's an interesting one because the VW is so understeer. We always say he's big understeer.
Speaking of understeer, he wasn't even putting any lock on there, was he?
The Alpha's not meant to do that, but Rich is going to catch him up and steal a place, I think. Yeah, the VWs, because it's inherently understeery, the drivers can't get on the power in the slow corners, which means, Rich going for the move, is he hard on the brakes? He may be able to do that in the Subaru. He's bottled it a little bit. Well, he's not bottled it, he's gone cautious. I think just there, he may have realised, though, the Subaru's got the brakes to make that kind of move.
Yeah, he's just sizing it up there, isn't he?
That he is. I tell you what, SGP's got a decent run on Steve F1 as Conrad now sitting in 3rd place. He's trying to close in on these two. You can see them battling away, but SGP can't quite get the move done, or he's playing the longer game, because I wouldn't be surprised if SGP is trying to pressure Steve F1 into burning more fuel than he wants, because if you're the car behind, you can save a bit of fuel.
Yeah, what I have noticed about this championship is that there's some really nice liveries on show this season as well.
I'm waiting for the pun on that one. Whose dodgy livery we're going to have a look at. No, I mean, to be fair, there are some nice liveries out there. Steve F1 still holding off SGP. He's actually going a little bit defensive on the exit of the corner there. Connor, I think Connor's closing in, It's
just these two guys holding each other up. I think SGP definitely is the quicker driver, but just Steve F1 using all of his experience to keep him behind.
That he could be. Gary, though, doing well to still be sitting in 4th place as Rich has managed to get past Hay. We've missed that move, unfortunately.
It's Jensen Button.
I don't know, not with the way he went through this chicane last time around. I think Mitch is at the back there as well. Yeah, I think Mitch, a lap or so ago, may have hit the wall at the bus stop as Hay has just tagged the back of Rich's Subaru, which was glitching a little bit there.
I think Hay's had a couple of glitches as well this race, I noticed, but these two side by side now. Rich knows that he's got the brakes in this corner, so hopefully he can hold it on the outside.
he should be able to, or at least on the exit of the corner, he should have the acceleration in that Subaru to just pull away from the Alfa Romeo. Yes, he has. And here comes Demon R hunting down Mitch in the background as well, and Jason slowly catching up to them as well. So this is where these guys ahead need to make sure they don't make any errors. But for the likes of Demon R, Jason, Twilight, as Hay clips the barrier, that's going to get him swamped by Mitch and Demon R. Yeah, for those guys that pitted, they've now caught up to the pack, which, okay, hasn't really cost them much, but yeah, they can't afford to get held up here.
No, that's the thing, is if you've come out with this gaggle of cars and they're all going to be fighting for position, even the ones that haven't pitted yet, they're not going to give an inch.
Yeah, that definitely not. And the thing is, if the drivers are able to go, 18, 20 minutes into the race, then this could be a battle that's going to last us some time. I think Jason got a little bit of understeer there, tagged the side of Mitch, as Rich is trying to hold off Mitch and Jason. Here comes Hay as well, trying to do a little bit of an undercut on Demon R. He's managed to do it, but as he compromised his exit, I think he may have done.
Yeah, this championship, it just goes to show in previous season we've had, all the drivers have the same car. This, it's 4 different brands. They're all trying and they're all close together and having a great race at the minute. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, that's the thing. There's a front wheel drive, there's rear wheel drive, there's a mid-engine rear wheel drive, and there's 4-wheel drive. And there's a Jason tagging the side of Demon R. I think Jason.
Demon R with the unicorn vomit livery there.
I don't know. It's more. I look at it and think it reminds me of a packet of like highlighter markers.
Yeah. He's preparing for Tokyo Expressway in the dark, is he again?
It could be. Rich going defensive here with Mitch on the outside. I mean, what I will say is for the guys that are driving the Subaru, I mean, the Subaru is an extremely strong, stable, heavy, quick car. It's a brilliant car for some of the drivers who perhaps don't get much time to practice because the car is so much more stable.
Just jump in it.
Yeah, exactly. Jump in it and go. Whereas those in the Toyota, it's not quite like that. I mean, obviously, for anyone that's watching this should have already been informed of the format of the car selections, but I will go through it again in a moment. As Rich is legitimately right in the middle of this fight here.
Yeah, he's doing well. As he's not lost any positions, but he hasn't gained any. He's just sort of staying there and just sizing up manoeuvres as we have Demon R going 3 abreast with the 2 Alphas.
Yeah, I think Jason just moved across as well, trying to get alongside Rich. He's managed to do that as Mitch is trying to attack David Harp just ahead of him. So we're 2 wide, 3 wide. This could get messy, especially in those Toyotas. No, tell you what, it's actually quite nice. Rich has got through there, lovely. Have the Toyotas got through? The Hay has had a much better run through the corners. That just goes to show the strength of the Alpha over the Toyotas. That, I mean, no offence to Hay, but Hay making the move there on Demon R shows that the Alpha has got the pace in the corners.
Yeah, it was nice to see Hay actually going for manoeuvres. He was a reserve driver last season, he's a bit cautious, but now he's actually getting stuck in.
Yeah, that he is, definitely. I mean, I do know that he is still trying to play it a little bit cut. He wants to keep out of trouble, but at the same time, yeah, if the opportunity's there to go for moves, yeah, we want to see him going for moves. And talking about opportunities, Conrad's in a brilliant situation at the moment. Gary's still sitting in 4th place, and that's without any practice. If he'd have practiced, I think he could still be leading this race,
Yeah, he could. Gary is a quick driver anyway, so we'll see how he gets on during the season. But look at Tyler as well. He got took out on that first lap with Demon R, and he's managed to recover, and he looks very quick. Yeah,
absolutely right. I mean, you're not wrong there. I mean,
the attitude of the car going through the bus stop there as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Even though the VW is a little bit understeer, it actually does like the bus stop quite nicely. It's on the exit of the corners, like the slower corners, where it's going to struggle to get that power down, because the harder you hit that throttle, the more it's just going to spin the wheels. But Tyler has spent a bit of time getting used to this car, and he's making it show right now as he closes in on Gary. I think this may be a move to the inside. Well, it'll be the outside, but then the inside. And in the background, Mitch is coming under pressure as well from Dave the Hart. But this is absolutely brilliant, seeing Tyler and Gary go side by side, and that is a lovely move. But now Tyler's got to make sure he positions his car correctly, because if he doesn't, Gary's just going to come driving straight back past him with the strength of the Subaru.
Yeah, is he going side by side through the little kink, or is Gary going to back out of it? just gives them enough room.
I think Tyler really closed the door there.
That was definitely you're not coming through. I'm going away from you.
Yeah. To be fair though, I think if Gary had been in any other car than the Subaru, he may have needed an ambulance there. But yeah. Mitch, interestingly, coming under pressure from Dave the Harp, both in Alphas, also coming under pressure from Hay. Oh, Hay's taking too much speed into that left-hander. He's going to make the move now, but it could compromise him up over the top of the hill potentially. Oh no, he's got away with it. He's just about got away with it.
Yeah, we've got the Alfa Romeos doing a bit of an advert for Alfa here. We've got Jason trying to take both of them on the inside.
Yeah. Oh, this could be an interesting move. Jason's going to go...
Great move.
Is it though? Because Dave the Harp's gone for a switchback on him. He's got the inside line and he's managed to squeeze ahead.
Him wide.
Oh, it's close to the side by side through the bus stop.
Please don't go side through the second part.
Well, the interesting thing following the Alphas as well, through the bus stop, it's got a solid rear window, so you can't see anything when you're behind it. Although if you're in the VW, you can probably just look over the top of the Alpha.
Yeah, it's great to see as well. Just commenting on Hay being in a full-time seat this year as well. We've got Conrad, who was a reserve last season. He's full-time, and I think they'll both be wanting to put a bit more practice in this season and be up there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Hay was doing a decent. Well, he was doing a lot of learning. Was Hay when he was in doing his reserve drives? Jason's coming under pressure here, but Jason. This is so fascinating because Jason's in the VW, which has got the straight line speed over the Alphas. The Alphas has got the cornering speed over the VW. Jason's been limited on practice, so he's been getting used to the understeer during the race. So it's a double whammy for him in the corners, which is absolutely brilliant.
It's like the little two primary school kids picking on the year 11, isn't it? Look at the size difference.
Give me your dinner money. Give me your dinner money.
Yeah. I'm telling my bigger brother off you.
Oh, sorry, thanks. 20p effect. 20p effect. That's what it was like at my school.
I don't think Jason's done much practice either, has he?
He really hasn't. No, I've not seen him in the practice sessions at all, to be honest. But this is the thing with someone like Jason. He can jump into this car and he'll get better and better with it over the course of the race. For I don't know, someone like Rich Blues, who, no disrespect to him, he gets no time to practice. The only day he can get online at the moment. Oh, this is fantastic battling. Dave Yard going for a double switchback. Can he make that work? Holy cow! You know what? I think he will.
Demonar's joining the fight as well. Is Demonar pitted again?
I think Demonar has gone for a second pit stop.
Oh, we've got the VWs again at the front. Conrad's still there.
Aye, that he is. SGP having a look up the inside. He's going for it. So he's been following Steve F1 for what, 15 minutes, and now he's decided it's time for me to go. So clearly he's saved the fuel that he wanted.
Conrad heads the pits.
Yeah, so Connor heading to the pit lane. That's going to be for fuel. He got 9% of fuel left. Yeah, he ain't getting another lap out of that tank. But this is where now the VWs are going to show their strength. Tyler's in a VW. He's got 17%. There's a lot of guys going into the pits. But yeah, the fuel burn rates of the cars is very, very different. But it's not necessarily like, I mean, these VWs are quick, but they're not burning loads of fuel. So it's very interesting. Their downside is tyre wear, as Demon R makes the move on Hay. So Demon R, having made 2 pit stops already, can't get to the end of the race because the Toyota can't do 20 minutes without pitting. So that means that Conrad is going to need to make another pit stop as well. But where has he come out? It's in 7th place, right behind
He's going
Rich
to struggle.
Blues.
He's going to struggle to get past that with the straight line speed difference, and that Subaru. Rich Blues has really driven that Subaru solid. He's not been, he's not had a race where we've constantly concentrated on him, but he just seems to be there, doesn't he? He just seems to be just on the limit.
Yeah. I mean, Rich is someone that, like I say, he doesn't get the time to practice, unfortunately. But that's one of the reasons why the format of this championship is the way that it is, because then someone like Rich is able to jump in that Subaru, which is a tank. I mean, if these two hit each other, there's only the Toyota that's going to notice it as Conrad makes the move. But I don't blame Rich there for not fighting that too much on the way into the corner. But you know what? He's going to say, nah, you're all right, mate. I'm keeping a position on the way out of it. And that is what I like to see from a driver like Rich, or anyone really. It's like, yeah, okay, you've got the move on the way into the corner, no problem. I'll dick you on the exit. would have thought he was in the barrier then.
Yeah, they're getting close now. Conrad really needs to get a move on, but Rich is doing a very good job of keeping them behind as he goes defensive into this last corner.
Aye, that he is. He's going to have to be very careful, is Conrad, because Tyler has also pitted and he is closing in on him. Whether Tyler can get to the end or not, I do not know. I would doubt it. So Toyota side by side with Subaru. There's going to be one winner here, I reckon, and that's going to be Subaru because it's got a much better straight line speed as Twilight is closing in on the back of Hay, having a look up the inside into turn one. Hay giving him plenty of room. That's
plenty of room.
Oh, and nearly loses it. I think that's a sign of Hay sort of going, yeah, I want to keep well out of trouble. Conrad trying to do a switchback, but look at the amount of cars. I don't know if these guys have just come out of the pits or whether they've just caught up while these two are battling.
Yeah, that's very quickly that's within a lap that they've all managed to get onto these two, because it wasn't long ago we were concentrating on this battle. It was just the two cars, but I mean, look at that. We've got two VWs, two Alphas, a Toyota and a Subaru, and another Subaru and Gary coming up to join as well, so there should be a good battle this.
Yeah, definitely.
And Tyler's through as well.
Yeah, it's a sneaky move from Tyler. Oh, Jason's gone a little bit deep. Got the understeer.
Around the outside as well.
Ooh, got a little bit of contact with Rich. I don't think Rich would have noticed. Oh, but Tyler will have. Oh, and Rich will have. Oh, I think Rich might still be able to save it. Yes, he has. Holy cow. Did anybody actually end up facing the wrong way there?
No, that was very strange, but I think that was just a racing incident. Conrad got a better run on the two cars. They just couldn't go anywhere with being side by side, so I think they've learnt the three abreast through that fast left-handed just doesn't work.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. What that does mean, though, is that Gary is now right on the back of this train, and he'll be wondering what's going on to a degree, because he was running in fourth place when he went into the pits. He's now right at the back. Apologies for my alarm going off there. Yeah, he's now right at the back, and hopefully you'll have realised.
For this battle, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, hazard warning. That's a nuclear bomb warning. Oh, Mitch has got a decent run on Jason, but Jason's going to have the straight line speed. This could get interesting. The two fastest cars are at the back of this pack. The VWs are the second fastest cars in a straight line. They're going to pull away from the VWs. This is interesting. Gary's making a move on Rich. Conrad making a move on
Toyota
Mitch.
Going side by side there. He's going to have the outside line.
I'll be amazed if they all get through here without any contact whatsoever. Conrad making the move. He's going to have to be careful on the exit of the corner, though, because that's where the Toyota likes to get twitchy. The Alphas are pretty stable through there. And
He managed to go done.
He has, but he's now coming under pressure from Dave the Arp. And Gary, I think, is bump drafting Dave the Arp down the hill. Whoa, a bit of a clipping of the curb there from Dave. So the two Subarus are sort of sat at the back there at the moment, ready to pounce.
Yeah, I've got the lonely Toyota just in the middle of all these cars trying to get back onto the two VWs at the front of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite costly for Conrad, because obviously he's pitted, and the two VWs at the front, SGP and Steve F1, have not stopped yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to be stopping. Oh, Tyler, big time sideways. Not going to happen very often in the VW. I think Conrad's got a run on Jason here, but Jason goes defensive, and we've got Alphas side by side in the background. Connor's going to go for a switch back, but Jason's going to try and cover it off. But with that front wheel drive VW, it can't get the power down. That's going to give Conrad the opportunity, but the VW's got the straight line speed. Oh, that's a lot of curb taken.
That's a big corner cut as well.
I'll get back to that in a moment, because SGP and Steve F1 are now into the pits. Demon R is currently in third place with Twilight in fourth, which is interesting for those two. Connor making the move now on Jason into the final corner. In a way, I would like to see Jason not fight this one with Connor, which he isn't doing because of what happened at the bus stop. In a way, I would prefer someone like Jason, who's still getting used to the car, cutting a corner rather than causing a crash, as long as when cutting said corner he's not gaining an advantage.
Steve F1 is close to this battle.
He's going to hope he ain't got a rear view mirror because otherwise he's going to look at it and absolutely brick it. Or Jason gets a little punting from Conrad.
Nearly puts them past Steve.
Oh, that it does. But that's very interesting for Conrad, though, because that means that he's now still in the battle with Steve F1, kind of. But SGP is well up the road, so I'm wondering whether Steve F1 has taken tyres, but SGP hasn't.
Yeah, I think Conrad's just going after accepted. He's lost too much time, and I mean, it's the first race. Everyone's still learning about strategies and everything, and I think he's learned that this wasn't the right one, and he's been caught out.
Quite possibly. But what would be interesting is, I mean, looking at it from a neutral. I mean, we're 18 minutes left in this race, so if a car like the Toyota, as Connor's having a look at Tyler, and in the background Gary alongside Dave the Harp, Connor making the move. Tyler knows he can't really push too hard through this corner. He's going to give it a good go though. That's quite nice actually from Tyler, to be able to take that VW through that corner like that. Shows he'd worked on the line through that corner.
Yeah, he just sparks up a cigarette there on the outside wall.
I thought Rich was going to be smashing the wall head on there. Dave's got to run on him, as Connor has now got to run on Tyler. So Tyler's made the overtake in one corner, but Conrad, he's going to have a look up the inside into the final corner. And is he going to go deep? Yes, he is. Tyler says thank you very much.
Yeah, that was a very late braking manoeuvre there, but Tyler's heading for the pits, is he?
He is, yeah. See, now that's what I was going to say about with Conrad. Now would be a decent time if you're kind of stuck in this battle to go, okay, I can't get to the end on the fuel I've got. If I pit now and get away from these guys, maybe I'll jump them all when they have to pit, if they have to pit, which they should do. I mean, the VWs of SGP and Steve F1, they're in a different class at the moment, but Demon R and Twilight would appear to have done a similar thing earlier on. They've done 2 pit stops earlier on to get themselves away from the pack and on a different sequence, so that when everybody else pitted, they were able to get ahead.
Gary's caught Conrad's round rear-wheel drive. That's not good.
Oh, Bertie Bassett will not be happy about that, or the driving head-on into a barrier. Gary, though, is waiting for him by the looks of it. Maybe he saw the Bertie Bassett logo and thought, I'm sweet enough to be the only one with sweets on the track.
Conrad's lost a lot of time by the looks of it.
He has. Now would be a good time to pit. Demon R leading the race at the moment. Didn't think I'd be saying that at any point, to be honest. He's got Twilight, who is showing...
Toyota 1-2.
Yeah, Toyota 1-2 and Twilight showing brilliant pace to be within this distance of Demon R. I think SGP really clobbering the curbs there. I think Twilight has basically mirrored Demon R's pit stops because they were both at the back. Jason is still within touching distance. Oh no, he's not. I was going to say, if Steve F1...
Touching distance of the wall.
Of the wall. Oh, and I think Rich has come flying through the corner and Jason's unghosted. Nothing Jason could do there. Oh, Rich, that's unfortunate. Twilight's heading for the pits. Oh, sneaky. He's got fuel left. He's got enough fuel for another 2 laps.
Yeah, that's very strange.
Well, is it? He's going for the undercut on Demon R.
Yeah, it could be just getting new tyres and a little bit of fuel to last him till the end.
Problem is though,
he's going to come out in this.
Yeah, I think he's gone for trying to undercut Demon R, but he's come out of the pits right behind this pack and may end up getting a little bit stuck as Dave the Harp side by side with Rich Blues. Oh, I was going to say, I think Rich is getting more and more confident with this car. Because that is one thing that with the Super and the Alpha, to be fair, you can really throw the Alfa Romeo about. It likes to take the punishment.
Yeah, he's been a bit more aggressive now, Rich, isn't he? He's thinking, hold on a minute, what have I got under me here?
Yeah, exactly. Usually it's, what's her name?
Conrad went down, that was a surprise move there from Conrad. I don't think he actually meant that to be an overtake.
Yeah, could be absolutely right. I was just looking at Jason side by side with Tyler. Rich perhaps a little cautious through the left-hander, which closes up the field behind him. The 2 VWs realise they can't go side by side. They'll get too much understeer. David Hart's got a decent run on Jason, but Mitch has got a decent run on him. And then there's Conrad and Twilight. This is brilliant. Tyler's going to try and make the move. Is Rich going to go defensive? Yes, he is. That makes Tyler
Conrad down the inside of both the Alphas. Oh, Tyler goes off wide. He hits the wall.
Big deep there from Tyler. That's unfortunate. I don't blame him for trying it, but I like that Rich is going defensive. He's not just allowing people. I mean, I've seen Rich in the past keep himself out of situations sometimes, but this is brilliant. I like seeing this from someone like him.
But look what happened though. He's gained a car length on them just because he took his normal line and he didn't really. He didn't really force anyone. He just let them get on with it, and now he's he pulled away a bit, but now they've all think they've gathered on him again as Conrad go around the outside. I think he's heading for the pits. He said, yeah.
Yeah, I think Mitch is heading for the pits as well. No, he's not. Someone else is. There was a little bit of a switch. There's a few Rich Blues, Twilight, Mitch into the pits. Twilight into the pits again.
That's twice in the last lap, isn't it? He pitted last lap as well.
You know what? Yes, he did. I know what he's doing there. He's probably taken another set of tyres and thought, I want to get away from the pack for a minute, because they're probably going to be pitting soon, i.e. in the next 3 or 4 minutes. That's when he's going to be looking to try and jump them. So unfortunately he's got himself into a bit of a dodgy situation. Personally, I think he may have been better to keep going where he was, because I think he could have got to the end, but he's probably questioning himself because of coming out of the pits behind the pack. Dave the Harp, though, interestingly, we'll see how he gets on in the in the Alpha over the course of the championship. The Alpha's a car that should really suit Dave. The tyre wear is minimal in that car. You can pretty much do anything you want with it.
It is Dave, though. Dave does like to eat up the tyres still, doesn't he?
That he does. Jason's got a decent run on Tyler. Is he going to go for it? I'd mentioned that Jason's going to get more comfortable with the car throughout this race, and he definitely is, but he may still come under attack now. A lovely bit of driving from the 4 of these. Mitch in the background, who had pitted, is starting to close in on them. SGP sitting in second place at the moment with Demon R ahead of him. I think you'd be a bit surprised. Demon R into the pits though, so yeah, Demon R had to make one more stop, and he's done 2 more laps than Twilight. Question is he going to come out ahead of the pack, in the pack, or at the back of the pack? Because this is going to sort of suggest
he's
what
got a big gap. There's a big gap between them. I think he's come out just behind Steve F1 and maybe in front of Conrad.
Yeah, there he is. He's coming out of the pit lane now, so I think he may get away, especially when there's about 5 cars heading into the pits as well. So that's what I was on about with Twilight, saying he's done the extra pit stop with that bit of boost. By the time he catches up, others will pit and he's got a clear bit of road and his tyres are up to temperature. So that could work out. That's actually worked out for Twilight, if that makes any sense. Doing the pit stop has actually benefited him at the moment.
Yeah, he's just there in 6th as well, so if Mitch and Hay have to pit, he's in a good position, Twilight is.
Yeah, I think Mitch might not have to pit, because I think he pitted when Twilight did. Hay, though, I think still will need to pit. I am very surprised that Demon R was able to get out in 3rd place, but that does make things interesting for the front 3. SGP has got a nice healthy gap over Steve F1, but let's not forget, SGP didn't take tyres. Steve F1 did, which means Steve F1 lost about 6 seconds earlier on in the race, but he's going to have much fresher tyres at the end of the race, and that's the thing. How are people's tyres going to be at the end if they're going 40 minutes on them?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of different strategies for this first race, and obviously some people have been very good with the strategy, some people haven't, as we have Gary just looking at Tyler there.
Oh yeah, that he is. Tyler really enjoying closing the door into that hairpin. He really does not want to be overtaken, but Gary's got the acceleration on the exit of the corner as Twilight is trying to close in on Hay. Well, he's closed in on Hay. He's trying to get past him now. Oh, Tyler, I thought he was going to get up alongside. That could have been costly.
That was a double take there, double flash of the brake lights, getting too close.
Yeah, definitely. But interestingly, Twilight, he's closed in on Hay quite nicely and may close in on Mitch as well, because we've seen that. Oh, Tyler's going for the move. Oh, I think he was backing out of it, and Gary's gone. I'm going for it.
That was definitely a demolition derby Subaru there.
I told you, the Subaru's built like a tank.
It is. I'm surprised Twilight didn't end up round there. He did very well to control the rear-wheel drive Toyota.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what did happen on the way to that corner, but it definitely looked a little bit questionable on mid and exit of the corner as to fairness of overtake there. But Gary, I'm clearly feeling he needs to get a shift on. Let's see, Twilight behind him didn't come under pressure from Tyler. Tyler's making the move.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of cars that are just still, a lot of drivers are still learning the cars, you know, braking on the inside, having a look, sizing the cars up and see when they can go for it on the next lap.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the thing as well with these cars. I mean, it's like the Subaru is such a difficult car to try and overtake because it is so good on the brakes and so good on the exit of corners that you really do have to pick and choose where or how you're going to get past them. And it's the same for the Toyotas. How are they going to get past the VWs and so on? It's going to be a very interesting learning curve over the course of the season. Twilight's got a run here on at Tyler, but the tight line is going to be difficult for him in that Toyota as Tyler once again closes the door but left it a little bit more open. But that's where Tyler can benefit because Twilight can't just hammer the throttle in that corner. Rich though can, as Gary's closing in on Hayes sideways.
Yeah, I think we will see at least one of these cars have a win this season. I think each car will have a win this season by the looks of it.
Quite possibly. I mean, if Gary, like I said, if Gary was able to get a bit more, well, get any practice in for this race, he would have had a fantastic opportunity to win. And also, I mean, SRI, in some of the practice races around this track, he was untouchable in the Subaru. Unfortunately, suffering with a foot problem at the moment meant he's not been able to actually compete in this race. And to be honest, I know that the two Steves were fearful of how quick he was in the Subaru, so interesting to see how he'll get on for the rest of the championship as Tyler's holding off Gary.
Yeah, I think these gaggle of cars have just, no matter how many pit stops they've made, they all seem to be able to attract back to each other as well.
Yeah, and I think Rich, he'll get tired of looking in his mirrors as David Harp's got a run on Hay, both in Alphas though, so going to have same straight line speed as Twilight's trying to get close to Rich. Rich going a little bit defensive, but if he can hammer that throttle, he'll get a decent exit. And
where's his bumper gone? He spent all that time in the livery and he's got all them scratches.
He's probably rolled it and smoked it. Or is that Twilight coming under pressure from Dave? Yes, Dave's trying to make it difficult for Twilight, but Dave's got himself a little bit out of shape. He's gone
seen
deep.
How good the Toyota is through here though. He's going to end up with a run on Rich.
Yeah, the Toyota is probably one of the strongest cars through the high-speed corners. That's where its forte lies. But Rich is going for it on Gary. Go on. He's still a bit tentative, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got. I think Rich could be a one to watch through this championship. I really do.
Yeah. I think, like, again, with Rich, if he'd been able to get a bit more practice, if he'd have been in that situation in a few of the practice races, hang on a minute,
SGP,
he's heading into the pits. With the amount of fuel he's got, that's not for fuel.
That's for tyres. Surely it's got to be for tyres.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, there's just over 5 minutes left of the race. You only need 25% of fuel for 5 minutes in the race, and he had 40%, so it's not about fuel. That's all about tyres. He's come out right in front of Demon R. That's going to give Demon R a bit of confidence then, because if he can latch onto the back of SGP, then he may be able to catch Steve F1 as well. But
yeah, I love watching the Toyota. Wow.
Oh, oh, this is frantic. Oh, he's big sideways. Oh dear.
Oh, he's caught Conrad as well.
That could have been. I was about to say that could have been so much worse, and then it just did get a little bit worse at the end. Yeah, I mean, when you got that many cars that side by side, it can end badly on occasion. But yeah, I mean, for SGP, I could only guess he saw something in his lap times that made him think his tyres won't get to the end. Otherwise, there's no point or no reason for him to have pitted.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, SGP wasn't showing, you know, a lack of pace at the front with these old tyres, but he must have thought that he didn't feel comfortable with the ones he was on.
Yeah, Twilight got a run on Jason. I mean, this is one of the things for anyone that doesn't use a wheel. One of the big benefits of using a wheel is Jason goes defensive to cover off Twilight. Dave the Arp's done a couple of switchback moves in this corner already in this race, and he's going for another one on Jason. The VW is not going to be able to cope with that. Twilight's going to sneak through as well as he. Oh, Conrad!
Oh, Conrad's off again.
Yeah, I think Conrad tried to follow Twilight through, couldn't quite do it. Jason has managed to fend off Twilight, but Dave the Arp got the move done. Nicely drawn there from those guys, upon Conrad, unfortunately. Okay, Steve F1 leading the race, so what's the gap between him now and SGP? I think it's bigger than SGP would want it to be, because I think we've only got, maybe 2 laps to go?
Yeah, and judging by Steve F1's pace, he's very consistent as well. He's not letting off, and SGP, he's managed to pull a little bit on Damon R, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to Steve F1 by the time the checkered flag comes.
I think you're absolutely right. I think he's going to be questioning what he's done there. He may have been better off staying out, but it's like I was trying to say, as David Harper and Twilight go side by side, if you're using a wheel, you can feel the grip. So when you feel that the grip is going, it can really put doubt in your mind. And at a track like this, where you're going through the bus stop, you do not want any doubt, because you'll end up in the wall easily. So I can kind of understand why he may have pitted, if that's how he was feeling with the tyres. But at the same time, he'll definitely be questioning whether it was the right decision or not.
Yeah, I think with this track as well, definitely there's a few corners where you feel the marbles more. And it just gives you a bit more understeer. And we've got a few cars going through there. Twilight's having a look at Dave the Hart, and Conrad's getting a look at by Rich.
Yeah, it's all frantic. All Hayes trying to sneak in there as well. Probably just trying to have a look at where the road is. Being behind the Subaru, couldn't really see anything. Or again, get me words out, the stability of the Subaru showing there, gets the wheels on the grass, and it was still absolutely fine. 2 minutes to go then, so we may, let's see, no, there will be one more lap. Yeah, looking at the time, and
cars are going to come through, can they avoid him?
Oh, that's going to be back up. It's going to be costly. That's going to, I mean, with 1 lap to go, he's just gone from what, 5th
to 11th.
Oh no. This is where now we need to hope that Tyler is able to keep his cool. Oh, it's Hay's got himself a little bit deep there, took out Rich. Tyler's going to be a bit happy with that one. Gary comes through, thank you very much, I'll have some of them. Steve
Gary's
F1,
definitely happy.
He definitely is. And Steve F1 still leading the race now then, and yet SGP, even with the fresher tyres, hasn't been able to catch up. But that's where Steve F1 having those tyres, putting the tyres on at the middle stop, or his one stop, what I'm trying to say is, if Steve F1 had kept his tyres on from the start, then the benefit SGP would have would be huge. Dave the Hart making a move on Conrad. Yeah,
Conrad getting stuck behind Jason as Dave the Hart opportunistic there. He goes down the inside, but just Conrad a bit braver on the outside.
Yeah, Dave Hart. Dave's been made a few moves through some of the. We're going to see Toyotas doing that a lot as Gary has got a bit of a run on Tyler in the background. They're 3 wide heading into this fast chicane. Now they're 2 wide. Twilight in the Toyota VW of Tyler, who's understeering, and Gary, who's pushing, as Conrad's got a decent run on Jason here. The leaders are just going through the bus stop. I think Steve F1 is going very, very slow, but just to make sure he doesn't bin it, Conrad making the move.
On the outside, it's like that old Motorola game Snake as they all weaving through the corners. Conrad's going to try the outside now. It gets a good exit.
It does, but I don't know if we're going to see if he's going to be successful or not. He is ahead. He's ahead of Jason on the timing tower. Steve F1, he's going to cross the line then. SGP, I think he needed another 2 or 3 laps to make that work. Questions will be asked. So yeah, Steve F1 takes the win. SGP second place. Demon R is going to cross the line in 3rd. Mitch somehow is going to finish in 4th place. He hit the bus stop. He says he hates that corner, but he hits it a lot, so he must really like it. Connor has managed to get ahead of Jason. We didn't see him completing the overtake, unfortunately, but let's see. Yeah, he managed to get ahead quite nicely. So Connor's going to take 5th, and then Dave the Hart closely followed by Jason, Gary, Tyler and Rich.
Who's going to take... Oh, Tyler just snips ahead of Rich there. Got Twilight and Hay coming across the line as well.
Wow, that was a bit bonkers.
That was a great race.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is, first race of a championship, it always takes me a while to get back into the swing of doing commentary and things, but there's so many things I wanted to talk about during that race. We just didn't have the time because there was just constant action all the way through. It's fascinating. There will definitely be questions asked, I think, from SGP. What would you have done, Connor? If you feel like your tyres are going, but you've got a 5-6 second lead, what do you do?
I think track position would have been my preference. Is he the sort of driver that would have lost that much time with them tyres? I don't think he would have. I think he would have, he would have defended even if Steve F1 would have caught him, and I think he'd be fine.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. But obviously something made him think that it was the right thing to do. I mean, if he'd have done it a lap or two earlier, it probably would have worked really well for him. Unfortunately, it didn't. Steve F1 though, I think he will be absolutely delighted to, well, I was going to say not gifted the win, but 10 minutes to go, I don't think he thought he had a chance of winning that race. So he'll be very happy that he's ended up with the victory. I mean, I do know as well that there's a few drivers that are questioning whether the VW is the best of the cars. The answer is no, it's not. It's just those two Steves and even Tyler have actually put a lot of practice in that VW because of how extreme the understeer is. It needs a completely different kind of driving style to pretty much any other car you drive, because it's simply, you put the power down in a corner, you're not going forward, you're going sideways.
Would it be the sort of the same as, you know, like the Toyota you would probably need a gear higher?
Yes.
To sort of, you know, balance that out. If the VWs would be doing the same, do you reckon?
Yeah, it'd be along the same lines. I mean, I know for a couple of the hairpins around this track, the VW drivers were using sort of fourth gear, and it wasn't to sort of kill wheel spin as such. It was more just to carry speed and reduce a bit of wheel spin. I mean, basically, they can't get on the throttle through the slow corners. But when they do, being in the higher gears helps them a lot. Whereas the Toyota, it's very, very twitchy on its steering, but it's very strong on the steering. But that car does like to be pushed through the corners. You can really attack corners with it once you get used to it. And same with the Alfa. The Alfa, I mean, you mentioned Suzuka the next race. The Alfa should be potentially the strongest car at Suzuka. The risk though is that someone in a Subaru gets hooked up around that track, because if they do, they could be untouchable. Now, we saw today Gary go from 8th place to 1st on the grid, and that was kind of expected to a degree. But at Suzuka, I don't think you could get from 8th place to 1st by turn 1. It's a much shorter run.
If you have sort of SRI or Gary managed to get a bit of practice in, he managed to qualify.
Exactly.
I don't know, 3rd or 4th. Off the line, you know, you'll have Steve and Steve up there, and
yeah,
if they get a good run, they could be leading by the first corner if they get a good top 5 qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. And the VWs, they are going to struggle around Suzuka. They won't be too bad in the higher speed part of the track, but that first sector, the last thing you want in that first sector at Suzuka is a front wheel drive car, and that's exactly what they've got. But for today's race, yeah, absolutely fantastic. I mean, saw some brilliant battles, as you mentioned throughout. It's going to take the drivers a little bit of time to get used to the tyre wear, what strategies they're going to need to do with fuel perhaps. I mean, for example, it's an odd one in a way really. I know, for example, I think around Seaside, percentage of fuel used a lap is about 11%, but I know the Toyota can't get to 20 minutes at that. But at Suzuka, it's 11%, but it can get to 20 minutes. So it's very...
So it's going to be very different, isn't it, then?
It
is. The way people think about the strategy.
Yes, it is. Because I think majority of the drivers would be able to do a one-stop if they wanted, but only if they are able to do at minimum 20 minutes. Now, the Toyota, it's like 20 minutes, but not 21 minutes. But it could be very interesting, because it could be, well, do you pit early, try and save fuel? Will that work? Maybe, maybe not. Do you take tyres? Would actually be, instead of going for the one stop, could a two stop be faster? And that's the thing with Suzuka. Sometimes fresher tyres is more of a benefit than staying out on track. It's a very, very much unknown.
Yeah, but that's the thing. People are going to have to either take gambles in this championship, or they're just going to have to get on with it, because every track's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah, that it is. I mean, talk about learning curves, right? I've been reading a Sean Connery book recently, and I had it up on my bookcase, and I went to get it, and it fell off, and it hit me on the head. I can only blame myself.
It doesn't get any easier listening to them.
It doesn't, does it? It doesn't. Don't worry. I've got loads more. Who can drink 5 litres of petrol without getting sick?
A tank.
Jerry can.
Oh.
Right, I'll do one more. Right.
Go on.
Why
We're all
can't?
dying to hear it.
Yeah. Why can't a nose be 12 inches long?
Don't know.
Because then it'd be a foot. See, that one made you laugh. It's shocking, I know. I've been waiting ages to use some of these jokes. I wanted to get them into the race, but it was just so frantic and so busy. Now, I did mention as well early on during the race that I would go through the format of how the cars were picked. I know I did it at the start of the video as well, but for anyone that doesn't know, basically there's 4 cars as you've seen today, and the drivers were given the opportunity to pick one of those 4 cars, and there was only 4 of each of those cars, and the order they got to choose in was from reverse championship order from a couple of championships ago, when we used the Nissan Zanavi. Yeah, Zanavi it was called, or we called it the Zanassin Trophy. So basically, potentially some of the weaker drivers had the opportunity of picking the best car, the Subaru. It's the fastest, the best acceleration, the most stable. It is a bit of a fuel burner though, but you can jump in it, you can thrash it, you ain't gonna die. And then there was the Alfa Romeo, which is the next best car, and so basically that's how the selection was done. And the aim was actually meant to be to end up with the likes of Steve F1, SGP, Demon R in the Toyota, but SGP and Steve F1 got lucky that a couple of others, the likes of Bunzel and Twilight, didn't really like the other cars, so went with the Toyota, and they ended up getting the VW. And I can fully understand why, because after that race today, it looks like those two could be fighting for the title again.
Yeah, they were rapid in that race, in that VW as well, and I think there may be a couple of tracks where they'll, the understeer might hurt them a bit, but I don't think they'll be outside the top 5.
No, I'd agree with you. It all really depends on what happens with those Subaru drivers, because I mean, Gary showed, as we've mentioned already, Gary showed what a Subaru can do at the start. Well, if there was 4 of them, that changes things considerably, because I mean, if there'd have been 4 Subarus, like 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, they're all going to be up at the front, and that's a lot of cars for people to get stuck behind. So I don't think by a long shot we have seen what this championship could actually throw at us, and the tracks that we'll be using this season, everybody knows them, so it should be absolutely brilliant to really go and attack these cars. Anyway, I think it's about time we wrap up.
Yep, it's been a good race. I think we've spoken about a lot.
Yes, that we have. Okay, Connor, thank you very much for joining me on commentary.
My pleasure, as always.
And let's have a look at the confirmed race result and what that'll do to the championship standings. Confirmation then, Steve F1 taking the victory and the maximum at 20 points. SGP finishing in 2nd place and taking 17 points. Demon R lucky in a way to finish in 3rd on 15 points, and Mitch in 4th on the 13 points, recovered quite nicely. Conrad managed to get back to 5th place. May feel that he could have had a better result there. Got a little bit unfortunate throughout the race. 11 points for him. Dave the Harpy loves that 6th place and 10 points. Finishing just ahead, and literally was just ahead of Jason in 7th place, and then formerly Gary in 8th place. Tyler will be very frustrated with himself. He is frustrated with himself. He was doing really well, and then with 1 lap to go, hitting the barrier and ending up right at the back, and did well, to be fair, to recover to 9th place. Rich Blues finished in 10th place. He may feel that he should have got a better result, but he's got a better result than Jimmy. So Rich, you can take that one to the bank. 11th was Twilight, very unlucky with the timing of his pit stop. Went for the undercut, unfortunately it didn't work because of the pack. I think he'll be kicking himself a little bit if he'd have stayed out and followed Demon Art. Then he'd have had an opportunity of going for that 4th place, maybe even 3rd place. Hay finished in 12th. Good race for him in the most part. We saw him wipe out Rich at the end, but it was purely accidental. And as you'll see, no reports have been put in, or at least no penalties have been given anyway. But yeah, as far as I know, no reports were placed. A few drivers were unable to make it. SRI's got a bad foot at the moment. Hopefully that gets better very soon. Fluffy, what a knobhead. Thought the first race was next week because it was a lovely sunny day. I think he went to the beach. I hope the sand in your crack was worth it, Fluffy. But yeah, interesting start to the championship. Now, regarding what that has done for the championship standings, is basically everyone's in the same position as they were on the race result, except for we have SRI, as I mentioned, unable to race. Jimmy, who said he was going to win, going for gold, but unfortunately had the in-laws come round. Personally, I'd have coughed and kicked him out and gone for a race instead. Bunsell, last minute, was unavailable, desperately unlucky for him, and as I mentioned, Fluffy, yeah, God knows what he was thinking. I don't think anyone knows what he was thinking, other than his trademark, fuck 'em. Yeah, so when we see that on the comments or anything like that, it's not meant offensively, it's just his trademark saying. And Groover also on 0 points. I don't have a livery for Groover at the moment because he is a reserve for this season, as he's had to take a bit of time away from racing. Now you will see on the left hand side of the screen, got a bit of a tally going of which car has won which races. Now there are no teams, it's not Subarus against VWs or anything like that. I just thought it'd be interesting, or should I say Rich thought it would be interesting, to keep a tally of which make of car wins how many races. So I thought, yeah, we might as well do that. Okay, next race is from Suzuka. That is going to be one hell of an interesting race with a very short 5-minute qualifying session. The pressure is on, and the pressure was on in this race in qualifying. A couple of people did make errors. If we have more Subarus on the grid, it's going to really spice things up, as me and Connor mentioned. As for strategy, tactics, anything like that, it is all wide open and up in the air. It's going to be an interesting one, but at the same time, drivers are going to have to be careful because that sector 1, it's not easy to overtake even if you're much quicker than the car ahead, given the nature of the knuckles. Anyway, thank you very much for listening in, for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, check Dynamic GT League out on Facebook if you wish. But I would suggest that you come and join us for all of the action from Suzuka for round 2 of the special 4 Cup. See you in a bit.